Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we've got a banger for you. It's going to be 3 rules that every role needs to know when they're playing Conquest. We're going to be going over solo, jungle, mid, support, ADC. These are going to be either general rules or more specific rules, but it's just to help you, help your team, help yourself, help everyone to gain more MMR and your enemies to lose MMR. So not everyone, just your teammates and you. But yeah, 3 rules for everyone, starting with solo lane. Number 1, jungles love ganking at level 2. Play safe in solo lane until you see the jungler go middle. A lot of the times, junglers will come to this at 1 minute. They'll go to this at 105, and then they'll come to this at 110 or 115, and then they'll gank. Or they'll go here, and then they'll gank. Or they'll just go from here, path in, they're level 2, you're level 1, and then they'll gank you. So there's like a good, at best, like at the max, where they can like just harass you. They can harass you for a good like 30 seconds. Because there's nothing to do in mid other than oracles, which take a long time. Or mids that spawn at 135. So junglers can kind of just stay around in solo lane if they want to for like 30 seconds, and there's nothing you can really do to punish them. Number 2, you don't have to kill anyone in team fights in late game. Your job as a solo laner isn't to do blink in, one-shot someone, or just absolutely hard carry a team fight with how you played it. Just wasting the backliner's time a lot of times is just as good as killing them. Obviously, if you played through 4 team fights in a row, 5 team fights in a row, you're wasting a ton of time. Your backline is dying. You're going to try to have to make something happen. But a lot of the times, 50, 60, 70% of the time, blinking in, just wasting time is nearly as good as killing the enemy. Number 3, in P's and B's, and before you actually get into game, recognize if you have to be the engaged late game. If you have a jungle Kali and a support Khepri, unfortunately, you're going to have to be the engage. Whether that means you're playing Bologna and you're going to have to ult in, or you're playing something kind of weird or funky and you kind of have to just make it work. Playing like Atlas. Unfortunately, you're going to have to make it work because your job as a solo laner in the late game is to kind of get team fights started with your support. And if your support's picking Khepri, he'll be rather useless engaging. So it's best for you to try to do it. But see if you're going to have to be the engager or not. Next up, jungler. Next up, jungle number 1. Farm efficiently. If your speed's up, these camps are up. Let's say your entire jungle's up. Don't go green, red, back camps, blue buff, speed buff, purple buff. Just go to that side of the map and clear out the jungle. Go path out, do your speed, back camps, blue, maybe look for a gank in solo lane, farm this on the way out, check mids, walk into mid, maybe look for a play in middle, go to red, go to purple after, look for a play in solo or in duo. Don't just clear all willy-nilly. Don't go green, speed, backs, red. Walk over to blue buff. That's just going to make your farming really inefficient. Also, feel free to steal some mid waves. Efficiency. Number 2, kind of something that's a little unique. I don't know if it's really a big thing in ranked, but try to start blink in jungle as many games as you can. If you're playing something like Hun bots and they have something like dodgy and you really feel like if you go blink, you're just going to get punished the entire game. They have like Ares dodgy. Obviously, you're going to have to go blink in games like that. But if you can, being able to go blink opts yourself into just like this huge opportunity to just look for plays when otherwise you wouldn't be able to because you have beads. So just try to go blink. Some games, obviously, it's not going to work out, but yeah. Number 3, don't play around weak lanes. If your ADC is level 7 and they have 4 people running at your purple buff and they're all level 9, 10, 11, what are you going to be going to that team fight to that you're like, your ADC is going to be able to help me? Unless you can 3v4 or 2v4, you're just going to go there and die and throw your lead. Play around your leads, play where you're strong. If there is a lane that's strong, say solo lane, they have a pretty fed Bologna, but you're feeling good, you're in a Willix, you're pretty far ahead yourself, and you think you can kill over there, obviously go try to make a play over there. I'm not saying don't ever go to a lane that your teammate is weaker in. If you know you can get the kill, go to it, but don't just play around a weak lane where you know you won't be able to win the fight. Next up, mid lane, number 1. If you are playing a mage, please farm. You don't have to fight. If you're playing something, literally any mage. If you're playing any mage and the enemy's playing AMC, CERN, Ishtar, anything like that, seed pressure to them. Don't rotate to fights that they're rotating to with unless your team is like strong and ready to fight there. You should be spending your time as a mage farming. 99% of mages are going to be way stronger late game or just as strong late game or way stronger than they are in the mid and early game to be more effective at that point. Don't feel like you have to fight at mids just because you're a mid laner and you have to fight. Farm. Number 2, if your jungler is going to a side lane and his camps are up, those are now your camps. If he's taking a peek in duo lane, he's looking for a fight, he's ganking, and his back camps are up, go farm those. They'll be back up by the time he gets back over there. If he's pinging you, That's a his problem. Slam the mute button. Continue power farming. Your job as a mid lane is to get level 20 as quick as you can. Just get level 20. And then number 3 for mid lane, don't rotate unless you are good to rotate. If you're playing on the red buff, you're hitting the red buff, and for some reason the enemy's engaging on your purple buff, and your middle tower is collapsing, or the wave is collapsing in your tower, and your red buff is still not dropped, but you're half health. Don't just walk over to this purple buff for no reason, just because your teammate's losing his buff. Rotate when you are strong, or when you are ready to, or when you want to. Don't feel like you're forced to fight. Even if your teammate's pinging you, you know your strength, how strong you are, better than he does. Next up, support. First off for support, duo isn't the only lane early game. And same with that, mid is not the only lane in the mid game. As soon as 5 minutes hits, supports do this exact same thing where they're like,
level up to level 5 off my first back. I sit into a lane. As soon as that happens, I'm going mid. And then I'm never leaving mid lane again.
You are the support for the entire map, your entire team. You're not just supporting one person or two people, your entire team. If your solo laner is getting his blue buff invaded and you are in mid lane, you can walk over to that blue buff and support him to get him that blue buff. That is a support move. That is a good move by you. If your purple buff's up at 15 minutes and your enemy ADC is getting ganked by the jungler and he's going to the purple buff, you're good to go support on that purple buff. Even though it's not the early game anymore, you can still do that. Same thing in the early game. Just because you're not level 5 yet doesn't mean you just have to keep sprinting it back to that purple buff. You can make a play in mid. You can make a play in solo. You can go run into the jungle, whatever you want. You don't have to just do those every single time. Number 2, in P's and B's, kind of the same as the solo lane one. In P's and B's, in the early game, recognize the relics that you want to go. Do they have hell? You're going to need an Ankh. Are you diving and you want to reduce their damage a little bit? Horrific is sick. Do you need to blink into their backline? Get blink. But you should know the 2 relics you are going. 1 second into the game, you should know what relics you want, and you should be planning around that. I just forgot to do the 3rd tip. Mario just harassed me while I was streaming, so I have to get this into you guys as quickly as possible. 3rd tip, watch your positioning in team fights. If you're a dive character, make sure you're playing dive. If you're playing a backline character, make sure you're playing into the backline. Don't be chasing kills as Khepri. Don't be peeling as something like Kuzumbo. Take this as, if you're playing a backline character, consistently play backline. If you're playing a dive character, usually try to dive. Next up, ADC. Number 1, play your spikes well and intelligently. If you got a first blood and you have your dev's gloves back as quick as you can and get out to start stacking. You will be up 10, 15, 20 stacks. You will have your full dev's gloves stacked faster than he will, meaning you'll get flat pen, you'll just get extra power, extra lifesteal, and then use those early game spikes to win that 1v1 against the enemy ADC. Even if you get out traded a little bit, you can just back off and cede it to him a little bit. But if you are stronger and you're a little confident in how you're going to be playing and you have a lead and you have a spike over him, play those spike well. Now, I'm not saying don't just jump on the enemy. If you're playing on her and you have a small spike over him and you have no idea where the entire enemy team is, don't just jump in. Play smart. Get wards down. You should be able to bully somebody out a lot of the time if you do have a spike lead, an item lead. So make sure just do that. Number 2 for ADC. In the early game, in the mid game, follow your support's lead. It's mostly for ADC, but it can be for every single role in the game. Until you recognize, like, okay, I can't really follow his lead anymore. It is better to be on the same page as your support than it is to just be on your own page and him on his own page. If he's playing to dive, he's taking a little bit of extra poke, go in with him. You don't have to jump in, but maybe start walking up a little bit, get in a little bit of closer range. Play how he's playing. If he's playing to clear and then backing up, play to clear and back up. You can't win the lane by yourself. A lot of the time, the support dictates the lane. So let him dictate it. Let him just kind of call the laning phase and just respond to it. Number 3, probably the most important rule in all of Smite game. As an ADC, please hit the Phoenix and any other objective. I don't want to see my on her at the back of the enemy Phoenix. Both relics down, dying to the jungler mid and ADC. Hit the Phoenix. After the Phoenix is dead, you can do whatever you want. You can go die to the fountain if all I care. Just kill the Phoenix. I can't do it myself as a support. Please, please hit the Phoenix. And there it is. 3 rules for every single role. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. If you guys did like the video, make sure to like it, subscribe. We are almost at 10K. The content has been flying like it's Christmas almost. We're in December. Make sure you guys sub to the channel. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys again next time. Peace.